Hey guys, it's RedX here. I wanted to give you guys another Camaro video showing the process that I go through to clean the interior only. I'm going to have an exterior cleaning video as well by itself. Just making these videos individual just so I can give you guys a little walkthrough and make sure that I can explain it to you guys a little bit more thoroughly instead of just, doing everything very quick and very hasty. I want to show you guys everything. So right now I'm just showing you all what it looks like before. And it's not bad looking at all. It's fantastic. I mean, you can see that it's looking fine. However, what the camera doesn't pick up is dust, particles, and everything like that. So we're going to clean that. Now, of course, before you do any interior, you definitely want it well lit. You don't want to go in when it's completely dark, especially in a Camaro. It's already a cave. We definitely want some light in there. If you try to do it even with light shined on from the outside, you can miss certain angles and spots that you just cannot see without any kind of interior lighting as well. So that's why I'm putting it up here. You can get one of these on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you can see it's heavily used, but it still works fine. Battery life is just not that great. You can see I put it on the door liner. You don't want to put it on top of the paint. That will scratch it. So it's good where it's at. Making sure that it's fastened and at the perfect angle. And voila, you got some light. Looks fantastic. But I want it looking better. So let's go ahead. So I'm using RD Shine Citrus Cleaner, that's pH neutral. Don't need anything acidic. I also have a brush, and I put the citrus cleaner in these two bottles, one that's more concentrated and one that is less concentrated. So this is going to be the first panel that we work on, of course, the door. The first thing that you basically see when you walk in, other than the seat and the center console. Definitely want this looking really good. Now, I wanted to explain why I separated the citrus cleaner into two bottles. The one tall bottle is the less concentrated one. That's the one I'm going to be using for most of this interior. And the reason why I'm using this one is because it's less concentrated, meaning that it doesn't have a strong cleaner within it. It's a little bit more watered down, a little bit more diluted, making it a bit softer. It won't pose a threat to the dye or any coloring that's on any of the plastics. Because sometimes when you use a stronger cleaner, which is what's in the bigger bottle, that will unfortunately remove some of the dye if you rub the microfiber a little too much on certain parts of the car. Especially if it's repainted, and you never really know, especially with used vehicles. Now you can see that I am spraying a little bit of the cleaner on the brush. You usually don't need to unless a crack or crevice is very dirty, and that's exactly why I'm spraying a little bit on the brush itself. But usually you can get dust and small particles out without using any kind of cleaner, or maybe even just using some water. Anything that's going to have the dirt stick to the brush instead of the cracks. So it's just another attempt to get everything on this door looking as sharp and fresh as I want it to be. So now all that's left is to go ahead and clean up after myself. I tend to use a dry microfiber towel to go ahead and clean up the residue or leftover chemicals that I've used, just so it doesn't end up sitting on whatever material it's sitting on and creates etching because it's acidic. So essentially, you leave it on a panel, and it will tend to leave etching or some kind of mark. So it's just better to go ahead, play it safe, and wipe it all up. Now I'm just cleaning up the areas that I missed with the brush, and this tool is basically like equivalent to using a Q-tip. It's a little bit more absorbent, so that's why I'm using this over the brush. The brush basically takes everything out of the cracks, while this absorbs and picks up the dirt that's missed from that. If you're wondering what I'm applying on this microfiber, I am using leather conditioner from Extreme Solutions. All it does is it revitalizes the leather and gives it a new leather smell, and basically restores the color and the texture where it's supposed to be, and gives it a little bit of shine as well. I believe it does have some protectants too on top of that, but I'm gonna go over it with protection anyways regardless. This is just to make the leather look and feel and smell brand new. Protection is now being applied. This protection not only makes it significantly easier to clean every single surface that you protect, but it also protects from UV rays or ultraviolet rays, which discolors leather and plastics over time. It slows down that aging process, and not only that, but it makes it easier to clean stains as well, from any chemicals or any kind of drinks or any spills that you may have on any of these materials that are being completely covered with this protection. It'll be protected from here on out, and I won't ever have to worry about it being impossible to clean or impossible to somehow get off. Now, sometimes, depending on what kind of protection or coating you're putting on plastics and leather, it could change the characteristics of how it looks. I just went with something that is just very straightforward, protects without giving any additional gloss. That's just how I like it. The doors are all clean and protected. Now it's time for the floor and the floor mats. Fun stuff. Time to get the vacuum out and get rolling. Before going any further, let's make sure that we have everything lit up like a Christmas tree up in here. Definitely don't want to try and clean the car without any efficient lighting. Cleaning in the dark can definitely lead to some missed spots, missed areas. You're not going to be able to see everything. So get as much light and illumination as possible. Even if it's blinding, it really doesn't matter. Get some sunglasses on, and then let's get to work. When the brush comes out, that's when you know the carpet that you're working on is unfortunately a little grabby and keeps the dirt in. Unfortunately, the mat didn't do its job too well holding the dirt in. No, that's not true. But sometimes on the edges, as well as the cracks and the crevices of the pedals, hold dirt in, so you unfortunately have to use something to get that out, get it loose, and then you can get it all vacked up. It's just how it is sometimes. Taking a brush and making sure that I get every single area around the shifter. And in between these plastic pieces, there are large pockets that you do need to be aware of. It's just the sophisticated design that they went with for these Camaros, and that's just getting worse with modern day vehicles. So it's just a lot more to cover. When you're doing the headliner, you really have to be careful. It's very fragile and only held up by a bit of adhesive. So if you do tend to use a lot of chemicals to clean the headliner, if there's a huge stain, make sure that you just spray chemicals onto the microfiber towel and spray a couple times. Don't soak it up. If you do end up soaking the headliner itself, that's when you start to see it come down on top of you. So you don't want to loosen up that adhesive. It doesn't take much. Leather seats are up next. Now with these, of course, you have to be careful throughout the whole car and anything that's wrapped in leather. But the seat especially, just because you're dealing with a lot of marks coming from clothing, rubbing up against it, or if you get dirty from work or anything like that, getting soaked from rain, all of that can potentially damage the seat or stain it. And when you're cleaning leather seats, you definitely don't want to use anything too aggressive, no matter what. It will end up taking the dye off of the seats, and you definitely don't want that. So be very careful. Use a brush, of course, to get through the cracks and the crevices. I use those words a lot, but that's what you have to look out for. And you, of course, want to get behind the seat. It's an area that a lot of people don't see unless you have a lot of passengers. And I mean, with a Camaro, you're not going to have many passengers, but I still want to make sure that it's cleaned, just to have a peace of mind. This is a scrub pad that is mainly used to scrub on leather, using it for the seats so I can get some of the skid marks from shorts and pants. It works pretty well, just as long as you only work a certain area for a certain amount of time. Of course, if you keep on rubbing at it at a certain area or a certain panel, it will start to remove some of the dye that's on the seat or on leather in general. So be very careful, be mindful of how long you stick on to work on a area. and of course wipe over it afterwards so you don't get any stains or any chemicals just etching some of the leather. It's time for some leather magic on the leather seats this time. Lather it up and watch it shine like never before. It's not extremely glossy, but glossy enough to give it a brand new look. And it's going to start smelling like a brand new car all over again. I love this stuff. As you can see, I'm brushing out all of the dirt and other debris from these pedals. Fortunately, they're not all that dirty, but of course, it is one of the dirtiest parts of the car. So you want to make sure that you have some kind of rag to catch all of the dirt, especially if you are spraying a lot of chemicals on top of it. And after you wipe it off, you should be good to go. And you'll see here in a minute that it looks pretty dang good with light shined on it. I don't really see too much dirt. We're going to be also spraying a bit on the rag, and going to get these door jambs cleaned up. And usually they have water spots on them from not really drying it after a wash or after a rainstorm. So I do advise whenever you do give it a bath, or whenever the vehicle itself gets wet for any reason, you definitely want to go out and try to dry it just before water spots hit it, especially if you don't have any kind of coating on it that makes a water sheet off. A little bit of generic protection on mats doesn't hurt. It also makes it significantly easier to clean, and it also resists staining, which does happen with some mats, especially some WeatherTech. Those mats typically are nearly impossible to clean 100%, so glad I have these stock rubber mats, and I'm going to keep them protected and clean for a very long time. And now I'm just putting in the mats and making sure that everything is straightened out, looking good, and it is. I can't believe what a little bit of cleaning, brushing, as well as some protection will do to make a car look brand new, straight out of the warehouse. And it's definitely proof right before your eyes. Now, I'm very proud to own this vehicle, and I'm going to own it for a very long time, so might as well protect every single inch. But that's all there is to it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below, and give this video a like if you enjoyed and a dislike if you didn't. And also, if you do like the videos that I pump out, go ahead and subscribe and stay tuned for more. This is Red X. See you next time.